All-Star game, a slap in the face to the players because of COVID concerns and the short break, particularly for the NBA finalists. We're going to have more on that story coming up.
Yeah, that short break, though, has not stopped the Lakers from cooking this season.
No.
And LeBron James playing the role of head chef, as he does well. LeBron had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, his 96th career triple-double, and second this season in the Lakers' 114-93 win over Denver last night in a rematch of last season's Western Conference Finals. James also passing Wilt Chamberlain for third most career field goals in NBA history, only trailing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone. So lots of milestones reached for LeBron James last night in terms of scoring, but really he continues to fill it up all over the stat sheet. Last night was his 8th triple-double since turning 35 years old. And according to Elias Sports Bureau, that ties Jason Kidd, currently one of the Lakers' assistant coaches, for the most all time.
And Kelly Oubre Jr. scored a career-high 40 points. Steph Curry had 28. Warriors went small in a runaway win. They beat the Mavs 147-116 Thursday night. Draymond Green had 11 points and a season-high 15 assists. He was their makeshift center, helping Golden State get by without using any player taller than 6'7" because of injuries. Well, the shot clock was introduced to the NBA back in the 1954 and 55 season, and the Warriors became the only team in this era to win by at least 30 points after allowing 75 or more points in the first half. Crazy stuff. They did so by outscoring Dallas 33 points by 33 in the second half. And the Warriors and the Mavs meet again on Saturday. That'll be at 8:30 Eastern on ABC.
Hannah, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell holding his annual State of the League news conference yesterday. Topics ranging from COVID response to minority head coach hiring or lack of. 2 minorities were hired for 7 head coach openings this offseason. There were 3 black head coaches when the Rooney Rule was adopted in 2003, and Goodell spoke of a continued effort to improve opportunities.
I'm not sure there's an issue that we spent more time working with our ownership on. Our ownership is committed, focused on this. We look at this as broadly as possible about we want to make the NFL, our clubs, more diverse. As you know, we had 2 minority coaches hired this year, but it wasn't what we expected, and it's not what we expect going forward. I know people want to focus on the head coach, but there are a lot of positives. 3 new general managers that are African American. There's a lot more diversity in the coordinator position also, and across the league. So there are some real positives to build on, and that's what we're going to do. But we're not satisfied, and we feel like we can do better, and we're going to.
As the commissioner just alluded to, the minority head coaching group has grown to 5 this offseason, with Robert Saleh and David Culley joining Mike Tomlin, Ron Rivera, and Brian Flores. In 2020, both Tomlin and Rivera led their teams to playoff appearances, while Flores and the Dolphins just missed out after posting a surprising 10-6 record in his second year with the organization.
Jay, top-ranked Gonzaga beat Pacific 76-58. Gonzaga trailed by as many as 7 points in the second half, but finished the game on a 25-8 run. Gonzaga's 76 points, its second fewest this season, but enough for their 15th consecutive double-digit win, the longest streak by an AP number 1 since UNLV in 1990 and 91. And 7th-ranked Ohio State beat Iowa 89-85, trailing by as much as 11 in the second half, but outscoring the Hawkeyes 38-24 to close it out as Ohio State improves to 5-1 against ranked opponents this season, winning 6 straight against AP top 10 teams. That's the 3rd longest streak in the AP poll era.
And a baseball trade in the news. The Los Angeles Angels getting veteran outfielder Dexter Fowler from the St. Louis Cardinals on last night for cash or a player to be named later. The switch-hitting former Rockies and Cubs slugger is a career .259 hitter with 127 home runs and 561 RBI. He spent 4 years in St. Louis.
And Jay, Serena Williams has withdrawn from the Yarra Valley Classic, citing a right shoulder injury. This was within hours of setting up a semifinal match against top-ranked Ash Barty. So Williams, who's 39 years old, playing in her first tournament since withdrawing from the French Open because of an Achilles injury in October. And the withdrawal came after a post-match news conference. She hadn't made any references to the issue in that news conference, but there was no further explanation offered. Serena is still seeking that elusive 24th Grand Slam title, which would tie Margaret Court for the most all-time by a man or a woman. It would be her first major title since winning the 2017 Australian Open and her first major championship in 10 tries since becoming a mother. She really wants to put herself in good position as possible, so even a small injury, you can kind of understand her withdrawal. She's always been about the majors, and she hasn't won one since she did win the Aussie Open while pregnant.
Yes.
4 years ago. A lot of people thought this was a foregone conclusion that she would tie Margaret Court, but it's proving to be a tough task.
Indeed it is. And those are your half-hour headlines. In case you missed it, LeBron James wants no part of NBA All-Star Weekend this season. The league is looking at doing the game next month in Atlanta. LeBron, citing COVID concerns on top of fatigue after a short off season, did say he'd be there if voted in for his 17th straight season. He said more.
I have zero energy and zero excitement about an All-Star game this year. I don't even understand why we're having an All-Star game. Pretty much a kind of a slap in the face. We're also still dealing with a pandemic. We're still dealing with everything that's been going on. And we're going to bring the whole league into one city that's open. Obviously, you guys can see I'm not very happy about it, but it's out of my hands. And, I'll be there if I'm selected. But I'll be there physically, but not mentally.
We can see he's not happy at all. Chiney Ogwumike joining us now. Chiney, what's your reaction to what we just heard from LeBron?
Woo, Jay, that was a word. I'll be there physically, but not mentally. And I know that feeling as an athlete where physically and emotionally you feel like you're being pushed to the brink, especially for a guy like LeBron James, who at age 36 is shouldering the load of 2 seasons pretty much wrapped into one. Now, there is good and bad in this situation. The good is that the game could support historically black colleges and universities and provide fundraising for COVID relief. But as you heard, the bad is that, as LeBron mentioned, bringing all the players to one location that has been pretty wide open, and also the All-Stars not having an extended break this season, a season that has been very challenging. I mean, mental health should definitely be a part of that conversation as well. So as players, we love our fans. We will do what is necessary. But after just watching a virtual Pro Bowl, I'm not surprised that LeBron James, De'Aaron Fox, and company are voicing their opinions.
Chiney, when you look at this from a league-wide perspective, what does it mean for the NBA to have its biggest star say, I'm not really feeling this All-Star game plans, y'all?
Yeah, it's not the best look, Jay, but what I will say, though, is that I know what most people heard in that soundbite was what we're talking about. This is probably not something that LeBron James wants. But the key thing that LeBron said was that he would still play in the All-Star game if necessary. And as a member of the Players Association of the WNBA myself, I would be bringing everyone right now back to the table. You never want to have discussions in the court of public opinion or people going to the pulpit to get your opinions. I would be bringing everyone back to the table to figure out how to move forward that makes sense for all parties involved, or if it doesn't make sense, but making sure everyone is heard.
Again, for now, the game is on schedule for March 7th in Atlanta. Chiney is going to be back with us next hour to help get set for tonight's NBA slate. Chiney, thank you.
And coming up, the Chiefs without their top 2 tackles on Super Sunday, where the Bucs could exploit that reshuffled offensive line. And when the Super Bowl ends, well, the questions remain. We're going to get a head start on all those off-season quarterback questions.